Okay. It's a slow warm up today. Did 100 burpees. Now we're gonna do 10 rounds, 10 burpees, 10 ring rows, 10 kettlebell swings for 100 of each of those. Because 100 is a good number, right? It's a good number. Why not? Hi. Hi. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Odin. Good morning. 100 burpees, 100 ring rows, 100 swings. Go. 100 burpees. 100 burpees. 100 burpees. 100 ring rows. 100 kettlebell swings. 100. We're gonna keep it 100.
As the bank warns of more losses this
Get off
year.
my nuts.
BURPEES scathing. We expect to see another wave of downgrades and see no reason to own the shares. On the story, Bloomberg's Marion Hoftemeyer joined us now in Zurich. Marion, this doesn't read well at all, does it?
This was horrible. This was just
rows.
quarter. This is the worst annual loss the bank has had since the Great Financial Crisis. So that really puts into context the dire circumstances they find themselves in. And what's worse, and what was arguably more shocking to investors and analysts, was this huge outflows that you mentioned, $120 billion. That is just phenomenal and unprecedented at this point. And the effect of that, you have this bank, earlier, this bank whose strategy is underpinned by being focused on the wealth business, and that very business is in
Stay in your home.
They've got to hold on to clients. They've also got to hold on to talent. I understand they cut the bonus pool by 50%. They're effectively communicating to their staff there's going to be no profit in 2023. We'll return to profitability in 2024. So who knows what the bonus pool looks like for the Marion, how long are they going to keep hold of both clients and talent simultaneously?
That's what makes this coming year so difficult on management, arguably even more difficult than when they set out this plan in October. They're going to have to really convince clients and their own employees that the upside story is what they want to stick around for. And that means, paying out vested shares that come out more upfront cash payments, which is what they've been doing. And for the clients, they have been on the phone, talking to every client that they can and trying to get that business back.
Man, this was brilliant and fantastic coverage all through the morning and the day over in Switzerland. Marion Hoftemeyer there on the story, and also Francine Lacroix did a fantastic job with the CEO a little bit earlier on. If you can find the interview on Bloomberg.com or on the Bloomberg terminal, check it out. The job cuts though coming through in the finance industry. We're seeing it all over the place now. JP Morgan, AllianceBernstein, joining the list of companies cutting jobs. The CEO of AllianceBernstein said this: "We expect continued volatility in global financial markets as inflation and interest rates
continued volatility.
Impacts on the economy and corporate earnings." Kaylee has
come here. Come here. Stop being sad.
Firm-wide at AllianceBernstein after they saw a 17% drop in assets under management. So they're trying to reduce their headcount.
Just stay in your home.
Costs.
Just stay in your home, man.
It's a reminder that even though we've talked ad nauseum about layoffs in the tech sector, it is not limited there. It has spread to finance as well. According to JP Morgan, it's hundreds of employees in their mortgage business specifically, which, as we know, has been hit by the slump in housing. Mortgage origination volume slumped 60% for them last year, and we've seen other banks like Wells Fargo making similar cuts to their own respective mortgage businesses thanks very much to the Fed hiking rates. And you know that other businesses have slowed down for these banks too. So it's not just about the employee headcount, it's also what you're paying those employees in that bonus pool, the conversation we were just having with Mari. And then within the broader finance umbrella, including fintech, look at a firm, a buy now pay later company, announcing a 19% cut to its workforce as it grapples with economic uncertainty. That stock is down 13% right now, John, after they missed big and cut their outlook. The CEO saying they need to focus on being leaner as revenue grows slow. So it comes back to the conversation we were having earlier. It is no longer about growth, it's about profit, John.
Is it no longer about New York? Kelly Knight, is that it? Is this it?
That was it for now, John. Yes, I'm heading down to Washington.
Very cool. To do what?
Be talking more about regulation. I'll still be hosting Bloomberg Crypto every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern and doing more exciting work on policies.
You're going to join us? You're going to join us still? Can we make that happen?
I would love for that to continue to
Can
happen.
I just say you've been phenomenal?
Thank you.
I know the audience knows how early you wake up, but you still jump into that seat to join us and help guide us all through these markets, and we appreciate it. Kaylee was fantastic, and I know you're going to go on to fantastic things down in DC as well. Kaylee, thank you. Coming up, the market moving events you need to know. Will be next in our trading diary.
Why a book about YouTube now? Why did you do this project?
Yeah, YouTube is this kind of a sleeping giant in social media. Someone described it as like this iceberg that no one ever really talks about as much for a variety of reasons. I see YouTube as both the past and now future of social media, and it was the first company to pay online broadcasters and invented the creator economy. And now we're seeing with TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, are all moving in this direction. Social media is no longer your friends and family, your acquaintances. It is influencers. It is celebrity. It is a game built around commerce. And this is a world that YouTube very much created.
Should we be telling Odd Lots listeners to like comment and subscribe? Other podcasts do that.
I mean, it's an effective call to action.
All right, everyone, like, comment, and subscribe on Odd Lots wherever you find it.
25 minutes into the session, we advanced by 6 or 7 tenths of 1% on the S&P, up almost 1 full percentage point on the Nasdaq. That's the price action. Let's get the trading diary. Coming up, President Biden discusses healthcare at 1:30 Eastern Time. Lyft reporting results after the closing down. Uber numbers early this week, pretty decent. More Fed speak coming from Waller, Harker on Friday, and then the UMich Consumer Sentiment Survey to close out the week and get ready to the weekend. From New York City, that does it for me. Thank you very much for choosing Bloomberg TV. We'll get into the weekend tomorrow and look ahead to CPI. And on Valentine's Day, that's the next big stop for this market. This market so far, though, completely decent. Good luck for the rest of the trading day. This was the countdown to be open. This is Bloomberg.
Oh yeah, swings. Oh bad.
more that need to come on. So that's the package that you're talking about mitigation?
Yeah.
Or are you also talking about agriculture as mitigation?
Yeah, so every emissions, the world tends to focus on passenger cars and electricity. That's not a third of emissions. And so the focus on the easiest third, now 4% of the cars are electric, so that's the field that we're furthest along. About 4% of energy generation is wind and solar.
So you've got to explain this one to me. What does it mean when the White House says we're watching markets carefully?
It means they have a Bloomberg.
I've seen the Bloomberg. I've been and seen it.
Lots of Bloomberg. Lots of Bloomberg. Lots of Bloomberg.
Shit. I've seen the Bloomberg. I've seen the Bloomberg. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean?
What's it mean? Nothing.
They have a Bloomberg.
You got a Bloomberg.
Multi-trillion-dollar industry.
I got a donk.
Commodities got absolutely crushed.
We'll show you what's happening in
I don't need a Bloomberg.
Bloomberg.
I got a donk.
IQ. Monday on Bloomberg. Why do the biggest names in business choose Bloomberg? Great question.
Great question.
Great question. Great question. Best question I get all night.
Bloomberg. Top experts. Great questions.
Wait a minute. I think I lost track again.
Has probably gone down in history as one of the biggest marketing disasters in history. Mainly because of a human error that led Pepsi to print more winning caps than they planned.
Good story.
The
Listen.
resulting chaos caused riots, civil unrest, and even deaths. Reporting this story took over a year, and it resulted in me flying to Manila in the Philippines to meet unlucky winners and to find out exactly what happened back then in the 1990s. My name is Jeff Maish. I'm a journalist based in Los Angeles. I wrote the story for Bloomberg Business Week about Pepsi's Number Fever campaign. The Philippines is a really interesting country. It's made up of thousands of islands. And it's also a country that's very heavily influenced by America. American culture is everywhere you look in the Philippines. They're obsessed with Frank Sinatra music, for example. They love all things America, and that extends to their love for soft drinks, Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola. In the 1990s, it was everywhere. Pepsi and Coca-Cola were embroiled in what is now known as the Cola Wars. It was a fierce battle for market dominance. Number Fever was already a really popular promotion. It had been rolled out in America to great success. And so Pepsi decided to roll it out internationally, particularly in Asia. They thought it was the answer to their problems. They thought it could finally help them beat their biggest competitor.
Look for the little number in Satisfied stores every day. I'll find TV, radio, newspapers. You could be a millionaire.
$1 million pesos, or $68,000, doesn't sound like a lot now, but in 1992, that was a phenomenal amount of money. You've got to remember that in the Philippines at the time, the average monthly income was about $100, so $1 million pesos was wealth beyond anyone's wildest imaginations. Number Fever caught fire in the Philippines. Kids were saving up their pocket money to buy a bottle of Pepsi. Parents were squirreling away all of the bottle caps in bags. You would walk down the street and people were going through trash trying to find discarded bottle caps. It was a national phenomenon. Pepsi boasted that half the population of the Philippines was playing it. Number Fever boosted Pepsi's sales every month from $10 million to $14 million. It had a huge impact on Pepsi's bottom line. Number Fever quickly became number hysteria. Maids were being jailed for stealing their employers' winning bottle caps. There was even some murders over winning bottle caps. People were fighting in the streets over these caps. There were signs that there were going to be problems with number fever very early. Pepsi had rolled out the competition in Chile, and garbled facts had caused some kind of problem with the winning number. They'd announced the wrong one in Chile, causing riot. There were signs that there could be big problems ahead if they didn't keep their eye on the ball. So in 1992, Pepsi decided to extend the campaign in the Philippines, and they announced that the competition would go on for a few more weeks. One night, on the television news, they announced the latest winning number, 349. The problem was, 349 had already been allocated as a non-winning number in earlier campaigns. So there were literally hundreds of thousands of bottle caps with 349 just floating around the Philippines. Hundreds of thousands of people, all across the Philippines, thousands of islands, were finding winning bottle caps. 349, 349. Some people had 10 lucky 349 bottle caps. People were dancing in the streets, celebrating. They thought their problems were over. They were millionaires. It's still not certain exactly how many winners there were of lucky 349 bottle caps, but we know that Pepsi printed over 600,000 of them. Pepsi realised very early that there was a problem. Hundreds of people started arriving at their bottling plants with their lucky bottle caps. They realised something was seriously wrong. Pepsi tried to solve the problem by offering a small token donation to anyone that brought a lucky bottle cap to their bottling plant. But it wasn't enough. People didn't want just a handful of pesos. People wanted their million peso prize. Within a year, violent protests and riots outside Pepsi factories would leave dozens injured and 5 people dead. At one Pepsi factory in the Philippines, a grenade was thrown through the window. It killed 3 Pepsi employees. Anacita Rosario was a school teacher living near Manila in the Philippines. She was one of the tragic victims of this whole thing. She was walking to a nearby store to buy some rice one day when a Molotov cocktail was thrown at a Pepsi truck in a violent protest. It bounced under the truck and exploded. It killed her and an innocent bystander who was just a child and injured many others. When I was in the Philippines, I tracked down Anacita's daughter, Cindy, and her husband, Raul. It was clear to me that they were still very upset by the whole thing. You know, the family had been ripped apart by this competition. And Raul told me that he'd never been married. He'd told me that he'd gone to meet Pepsi executives after his wife was killed. And he was angry. He said to them, you know, this wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for number 3. The biggest revelation from my reporting was rumours that Pepsi was somehow involved in bombing their own trucks. I found a newspaper report with a headline that said, Pepsi goons bomb their own trucks. And when I visited the MBI, the police department in the Philippines, they presented me with documents and interviews with people who claimed that Pepsi had paid them to cause riots and to cause trouble outside their plants in order to destabilise the situation and to frame the owners of the coalitions that were fighting them to try and curry favour. I just thought that was so shocking, and of course Pepsi denied it, but how bizarre that a company would be accused of bombing their own trucks. The contest had sparked so much anger in the Philippines because it landed at just this really weird time in the Philippines' history. It was during a crazy election that was racked with allegations of fraud. The Philippines was in a kind of love-hate relationship with America. They loved, obviously, the American aid and the finances that was pouring into the country, but at the same time they yearned for independence. They wanted to be their own country. Vicente Del Fierro was a local preacher living in Manila, and he hated the number fever campaign. Del Fierro thought Pepsi's number fever campaign was just one of the many ways that America was asserting its dominance over a third world country. He hated seeing his fellow countrymen get ripped off, in his eyes, by this huge multinational American company who wanted justice. Del Fierro rounded up over 800 winners of 349 bottlecaps. He got them all together to sue Pepsi for over $400 million to be divided between those holders of Lucky Bottle Caps. Del Fierro took money from some of the people who could afford it. They paid him 500 pesos to help with legal fees. But for people who couldn't afford the money, he would just represent them pro bono.
What I am concerned is to build up pressure on Pepsi and tell the people marching the troops. So we have mounted our own campaign in the US.
He flew to America and he hired two consumer lawyers here in America to take on Pepsi. He had a meeting at Pepsi's headquarters to try and resolve the problem, but he said he wanted to take it all the way to the highest courts in America. When those cases were heard in America, those courts decided that this was a problem that should be heard in the Philippines, not in America. Back in the Philippines, Del Fierro continued his case in the Filipino courts. At one stage, there were arrest warrants handed out for 9 Pepsi-Cola executives, which he saw as a big victory. We don't know if those arrest warrants were ever upheld, but it made newspaper headlines across the country. Pepsi did not take kindly to Del Fierro's campaign. They tried everything to shut him down. They sued him for libel.
My father had to attend 3 times a month for a branch 145 and another hearing for the branch 138, also 3 times a month. Also, there was a time my father was hospitalized due to heart failure. Still, he had to attend the 2 branch hearing. Otherwise, for not attending, the judge will issue warrant of arrest. My father passed away January 13, 2010. After staying for almost 1 year in a hospital, he died of complications due to heart failure. After the death of my father, I was inspired to do the website. Mexico will be remembered for what they did to the consumer in the Philippines and to their father.
When I reached out to Pepsi for comment for this story, they claimed that they didn't have access to anyone who was working at Pepsi that was around in those days. They also said that during COVID-19 they didn't have access to their documents about this, but they were very careful to say that they were sorry for everything that happened, and we do know that Pepsi did try everything to try and make this right. The Pepsi number fever disaster cost the company millions. We know that they paid up to $10 million in those goodwill payments, but the financial effect could be much greater. After the disaster, we know that Pepsi sales dipped. They were overtaken by Coca-Cola again. Pepsi's number fever disaster changed the legacy of that soft drink in the Philippines forever. Some people of a certain age won't touch it. For many people, Pepsi is a taboo word. A lot of the people that I spoke to were still quite traumatized by their experience, by that experience of winning $1 million pesos, losing it, and then returning to their normal life in poverty in Manila.
Good story. Thanks for listening.